Well, good afternoon, good morning, good night, good evening, wherever you may be, somewhere across our lovely world. Thanks so much for joining us here, absolutely live, particularly today for Serverless Office Hours. We are actually on week 4 of our awesome AWS Lambda Hackathon. My PC, my laptop has gone completely bananas, and so I had lovely slides with stuff to tell you all about the hackathon. I'm waiting to see if something kicks up so I can start. But yeah, until then, we're not quite sure what we're going to be able to show on the slides thing. But this is the last session. We've been running the AWS Lambda Hackathon. It is $15,000 in prize. I think it's a $6,000 top prize. So it has been awesome. The response has been overwhelming. I think we have 2,500 people doing the hackathon. So if you are one of them, welcome. And thank you for joining us here today as well. So this is a bit of an Ask Me Anything session. Happy to take your questions and comments. Of course, we are live. We love hearing where you are. Trace2798 joining us via Twitch. Good afternoon, Julian. Thank you very much. That's an afternoon. Erie Edits has joined us again and is saying hi, everybody. So hello to you as well. So I'm here and available to answer any of your questions. I am also going to be hopefully doing some vibe coding, but you know what? We just got to go with the flow. I'm waiting for the stuff to start. I've got Docker launching in the background. I've got a terminal window happening. I've maybe got some VS Code. I've got everything. So yes, asking, which is a very good thing. I was hoping to have the slides, but we can't get them up. But Killswitch, yeah, thank you very much for joining us via Twitch as well. Could you leave us a 30-second info on the hackathon? So I would love to give you a slide very shortly, and hopefully that'll come up in a few minutes once something is synced. When I'm looking to that side, I've got another monitor that side, so I'm waiting for a drive to sync so I can launch a PowerPoint. But basically, for the whole month of June, we've been running the awesome AWS Lambda Hackathon. Loads of prizes to be won. The remit is to basically build an application using using AWS Lambda, and you can use any kind of trigger. We're looking for some things that are interesting, some things that are innovative, something that can also, inspire the judges to do that. There are 2,500 people. We don't know who's going to actually submit something. I think I have a drive going, so I'm going to launch that. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, kind of thing that we get on. As my PowerPoint is hopefully about to launch, I'll be able to useful for you. But there's good money to be won, which is super exciting. So we do have some questions in the chat, which I'll super get to. But why don't we just do a little bit let me do a little bit of a. Of course, as soon as you restart things, it all goes wonky on the wrong screen. But that's why we're live on office hours, because that's part of the fun. So let me just bring up this screen, and I'll tell you more about the little our big hackathon. Little shared. Let's see when this all appears. Yeah, willing things to happen. Screen share happening. Ta-da, there we go. Excellent. Yay. Who would have thought? I've done live streaming for many years. We managed to get a screen shared. Isn't that awesome? Well, it is on today. Before we go into that, I didn't want to say August the 8th, Go to Serverless Bengaluru in India is going to be a fantastic event. Yeah, this is going to be a super cool event, all things serverless, all day Bengaluru. We're expecting hundreds of people to be there. We've got literally some of the top speakers from AWS over there. We've got not just speakers, but we've got product managers. We've got like the head of product for all of AWS Serverless going to be there. It's going to be a big day. Please, you don't want tickets to run out before you're able to get them. So s12d.com/go-to-serverless. So yeah, please, that would be awesome. Unfortunately, I can't make it. I'm on holiday vacation. So yeah, just it's a bit of a tough thing, but that is it. So the hackathon is turn your serverless dreams into reality. $15,000 in prizes. I was right already. $6,000 for the first place, $4,000 for second place, $3,000 for third place, and $500 for 4 honorable mentions. So that's big bucks to kind of win. And yeah, judges have been priming behind the scenes to, come up with some really cool ways that we can judge us as well, to be helpful, to be useful to you. And what's that going to do? Killswitch does ask, is this invite only? Absolutely not. Go to s12d.com/hack-lambda, and you can find out all about it to get there going. So the mission, let's go over the mission of what we actually need to do. So I mentioned using Lambda. Well, that's the real kind of thing. And it needs to solve a real world business problem. So this sort of mission and idea is more, instead of doing Bitcoin mining or doing something that is arbitrary, doing prime number evaluations or something like that, this is about being creative, about finding some cool kind of things that you can do. And so, yeah, try and build a Lambda function that solves some business problems. You need to have at least one Lambda function. This is the AWS Lambda Hackathon, so you can understand why that is a requirement. And then, and you're free to integrate with any other AWS service. Could be S3, could be DynamoDB, could be Amazon Bedrock, could be third-party services. You want to integrate with some databases or integrate with some other AI, ML kind of things, go for it. The world is your oyster. So yeah, go for that as well. You just need to be doing something to do with Lambda. So what are we wanting from you? Well, we're wanting a public code repo. So this is the start, that we want some code that we can see, something that can happen. Now, obviously, some people are a little bit concerned about providing all of their code. That unfortunately is the rules of the hackathon, because we need to be able to see the code to see that running. Now, some people have said also that they're building the back end and that they don't want to necessarily do the front end code. So sure, you could run a hosted front end, for example, and then the judges who are going to deploy your solutions are then going to be looking at the hosted back end, and they could connect your front end. So, there are ways and shapes of doing this, but ultimately, if a judge is going to have more chance to look at your application, dive into the code, look at all those kind of things, obviously that's going to, get you further up in the list for be something interesting. So how are you going to show off your hackathon entry? Well, a README showing how it works, that's going to be super useful, something which we can read through, and the judges can then use those instructions to deploy whatever it needs. And then a 3-ish minute demo video, seeing it in action. So this is just something quickly that the judges and other people can see. I mean, around about 3 minutes, just showing it all off, why you've built it. And, think of things that are going to make your application shine. Like, why was this interesting? Why did you pick this topic? What is interesting to do? Those are the things that are going to make something shine, rather than walking through, 3 minutes, a sort of in-depth architectural diagram. So have a think about the creativity and the kind of things you're going to have to do. So we're talking about the judges. So the quality and creativity of your idea, is that what I've said as well. Architecture and serverless best practices. Maybe you're going to put some good observability in, or you're going to have some dashboards for observability as well. Some good architectural decisions. You've thought to, maybe you're doing something about processing and you've put in a DLQ, or you've thought of something with failover, or you thought of something when something fails, that you've got something in your architecture that is going to represent that. These are just ideas. I'm not mandating anything. That's going to help. And then obviously, yeah, completeness of your solution. The better it works, the better it looks. Obviously, that is going to stand you in good stead. So the start date was June. It's now the 24th. So if you haven't started yet, well, you've actually got 6 days to do some starting. So that could be super useful. So yeah, so you've still got time to put your submissions in. So they need to be in before the 30th of June to be able to do that. So the sort of tagline of this is, are you ready to build something amazing? Which I think is cool. So I'm going to head sort of off onto the questions, because we've got some questions coming in, and I super appreciate all the people who spent their time and effort building things as well. So yeah, Trace2792, question or two, do we need to submit like a full stack app or just Lambda endpoints? We need to be able to look at the code. If it is Lambda functions, we want to be able to deploy them, look at the code, see how that all that kind of works. So that's what I was saying. If you want to run a hosted UI, maybe you want to do that. That is a possibility that you can host that yourselves. Think of what's going to be better for the judges to be able to see it as well. Vidit Shah says, damn, wanted to meet and talk about serverless starter kits on Serverless LAN. Okay, interesting. Yeah, we'd happy to chat about that. Yeah, serverless starter kits. Let us know what you'd like or what you'd like to see, and maybe we can do separate serverless office hours. Oh, I did also remember, of course, as part of this, on the S12D-hack-lambda, there's a whole Slack channel, and we've got experts who are manning that all the time or personing it all the time. So yeah, if you have any questions about the hackathon or general things you're working on, we've had some phenomenal questions. And the cool thing is also, because this is a community, we've got people answering questions between themselves. There have been some stuff on Amplify, Cognito. Before we even, so internal AWS people have jumped on to answer these questions. We've had you helping each other out. So this also helps grow the serverless community and make some kind of cool kind of things. Sanjeev, thanks for joining us via YouTube. Time and tide waits for no one, I guess. I lost the knowledge and time and opportunity. Now I have 2 days to finish. Pressure's on. This is the time kind of thing. But it's also incredible what AI can do to help with your coding. Schizophrenic web developer. So we need to use SAM. This will make it possible for you to deploy it in minutes and then remove everything. Yes, it doesn't have to be SAM. I mean, if it could be CDK, it could be in Terraform. Obviously, if you had all CLI commands to install it, first of all, that actually is going to be harder to do and harder to do the install. And it's also going to be harder then for judges to tear it up and tear it down. So yes, SAM, CDK, Terraform, those kind of things is going to make it also, that's a good architectural practice. So yeah, think about that. Yeah, but it doesn't have to be specifically SAM, CDK, Terraform, but infrastructure can do that. Trace2798 cannot join the Slack. Do not have email ID domain they accept. I am not sure about that. Maybe if you can't get in via Slack, search for me on LinkedIn via Julian Wood, or on Twitter, Julian_Wood, or Blue Sky at julianwood.com. Send me a message and we can try and work out that. I didn't know there was a restriction on joining on Slack. On the actual channel, hack-lambda, s12d.com/hack-lambda. I think I could actually put that on. That'll be better. There we go. That's URL. There are some country restrictions, unfortunately. I can't think of them quite offhand, but unfortunately, we aren't able to run this hackathon for various, I'm not actually entirely sure all the reasons, but there are some country restrictions where we can't run this hackathon. So maybe that's related to that, but all the details are on that page. So we've got all the details. So yeah, I'm happy to answer your questions and things like that. If you want to send them via chat, thank you for the things as well. In the background over here, I'm going to, because I want to sort of demo some kind of stuff that I've been playing around and building. And even if you've got 2 days going on to be able to do the hackathon, there are also sort of cheat things that you can actually do really quickly. So I thought I'd maybe get some things going. But as I said, my laptop was completely dying. So I wasn't able to restart everything before the stream. So I can promise you, Office Hours is live streaming while I'm talking at the same time and building an application. So let's have a look. I'm just going to add my screen on the stage, and I literally just have a terminal. I'm running Windows, but I'm actually running a Windows subsystem for Linux. And in fact, I'm going to try and launch something else as well. Hopefully that will also to connect to something. So what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about MCP, which is model. MCP is Model Context Protocol, and MCP has sort of taken the world by storm. And whether you're into all the Gen AI things and whatever, it's an interesting way to think and talk about Gen AI, because one of the interesting things about Gen AI is it only knows what it knows, and it doesn't know what it doesn't know. So in fact, I'm going to pop over to one of the AI tools we use. And we use plenty in AWS and Amazon, but I'm going to use one which many people use, and that is Claude Desktop. So Claude Desktop, it is just an AI tool. I'm just going to turn this off because I'll show you what I'm going to be showing you later. So I am going to ask a question of my AI. Can you please list the latest AWS Lambda runtime? Probably should have said runtimes. I should have said thank you very much. But look at exactly what it says. I can't quite zoom in on, maybe I can zoom in on Claude. View, zoom in. Oh, there we go. It's not, there we go. So it says, based on my knowledge through January 2025, which isn't particularly up to date, here are the latest Lambda runtime versions that are available. And it says Python 3, whatever, and it goes, node 20. Now, I actually know for a fact that that's incorrect. Now, this has been very clever because at least it's told you based on my knowledge through January 2025. But I think that is even and exactly, a schizophrenic web developer is on the money going, hang on, but Node.js is at 2022. And in fact, 2022, Node.js came out before January 2025 because it was just before reInvent. So what's going on? Why does my Claude, because it's using Claude Sonnet, which is a very capable LLM, not know about what's going on with Lambda? Because all these models are trained at a particular point in time, and they know fabulous things from when they trained, but they don't know anything since then. And so also it does sort of say, since my knowledge cutoff is January, there may have been new updates released since then. But this is wrong because it's not up to date, and even from January we had done it. So what can one do? And so basically the concept of MCP is you can plug tools into this these kind of coding assistants and LLM users to be able to get up-to-date information. And that up-to-date information can be anything. It can be maybe connecting to, running a Lambda function in your account to be able to look up customer information, or it can be pulling the current time or the weather in a particular location, all these kind of things, getting up-to-date stuff. And the way that actually works, I do have that. Let me just pull up my other window, is over this. So this window, I'm just looking at, so it's a file called Claude desktop config, and I basically set it up to run this AWS documentation server, because I think, you know what, AWS has released a whole bunch of MCP servers, and one of them is to go and look at the AWS documentation. Now, this is actually generally much simpler, because all it is running UV, which is a Python thing, but I've had some issues getting that all running to do with running on Windows. So there's plenty of documentation links. I can show that. But basically, this is a config thing to say, run this AWS documentation, run this MCP AWS documentation, the latest version of this set of tools that's going to allow me to connect to AWS for documentation. And there are plenty other ones. There's one for serverless. We're going to hopefully look at that a little bit later. And one's for Cost Explorer. So you can just ask natural language queries of AWS, and you are going to be able to get information from your Cost Explorer. But this is the one I have configured over here. So I'm sorry, I can't read your username. I wish I could read Cyrillic writing. But so long story short, MCP had kind of API to keep LLM up to date, extend functionality like provide access to your file system, etc. Right. That is absolutely correct. Some people have used the analogy of it is a USB port for your LLM. So you basically plug in various things via via a USB port. But the cool thing is it has all the standard format. You can run them in these tools in Docker containers and do that. Yeah, and Sanjeev is right. MCP is a protocol. It's used to do a lot more, including APIs too, to do more. You've got access to tools, you've got access to prompts, and you've got access to resources, which is information. So yeah, the tools, as I mentioned before, could be an API, could be a direct access to a database, could be anything. Lots of flexibility built into it. And the world is going by storm to be able to add functionality. Companies are adding functionality. So Figma, for example, you could just chat to your Figma documents. Stripe, you could make payments or find out information about your payments via an MCP server. So it's all about taking the natural language that you're going to write for an LLM. Basically what happens is you register these tools with these LLM, like this one saying AWS Lambda documentation. There's a descriptive field when this download says this tool is useful for parsing AWS documentation and gives some when it can be used or not being used. Then you do your natural language query to your LLM, and your LLM comes back and goes, oh, I've got a tool for that because I know the name and the description. Why don't you run that tool and get that information? And it knows also the structure of the tool it actually needs to run. So what I can do is I can basically, that config file is in my Claude desktop, and I'm just going to enable all the tools. And you can see this documentation one has got the read the documentation and search the documentation. So why don't I just ask the question again? And we'll see that hopefully it's going to realize that it actually can get some information by using the tools. Ta-da, there we go. It is using the search documentation tool, which says, it's going to get the runtimes supported, and then it's going to actually read the documentation. So this is live. If the documentation had literally been updated based on this morning, here are the currently supported AWS Lambda runtimes. Ta-da, there we go. We've got up-to-date information. So that is pretty cool. And you saw how simple it was to add in, and I now have full access to the AWS documentation. I could ask anything. Send me something in the chat if you want me to ask, and I can ask Claude something in it. Well, in fact, let's have a think. Yesterday, there was AWS Lambda added support for Avro and protobuf formatted events when using MSK. Explain how to use Avro with Amazon MSK and Lambda. Avro plus schema, because I know there's also schema stuff. So this literally came out yesterday. Let's see how up to date the documentation is. Maybe the search is going to be Amazon MSK Avro schema registry Lambda. We do spend a decent amount of time waiting for our LMs to respond. So to read the documentation, and it would be interesting to see if yesterday's information is here. Oh, it's having a think. if I do pop down here, I can see, you can see. So this is when I was saying it's a formatted request. Here's the request going to the, so it's going to Lambda consume Kafka events. It's going, let's see, has it actually finished? So, it's actually going to do a comprehensive, so it tells you what you need, all the overview. There we go, the supported schema registries. So literally this came out yesterday, Glue schema registries and Confluence schema registries, all the prerequisites, how to create it, how to create a schema, register the schema, update your event source mapping. You can see I have a schema registry config. The event record formats, you can use JSON and source. So if sources you just want to pass the Kafka information to. I mean, this is literally it. As of yesterday, it's even given me a Python example of a Lambda function, how helpful with the two different things, how to do event filtering, because this is also a cool thing. You can use event filtering with these, because protobuf and Avro are binary formats. And before you can do that, the permissions. Isn't that cool? So this is obviously taking that information from the documentation. It's not just regurgitating it. It is then, it's creating, using an LM to create a comprehensive guide on how to do that as well. So that is pretty impressive, actually. That is awesome. So, okay, let's see. We do have a question from CDS_goat. Thank you. So how to interface with Nova multimodal capability program with my bad spelling, because I can't actually type that. Yakuzi, am I nervous or who's nervous? Am I nervous? Well, I'm sort of live coding over here and live questioning, so we'll have to see. There are a few possibilities. I need to clarify Nova multimodal code. Yes, Amazon Nova, I presume. Amazon Nova. LLM is being very polite and having to ask some clarifying questions. So, I'm having the okay. It is doing detailed documentation on how you can use it programmatically. Okay, excellent. So, that went onto the wrong screen. I'm just going to try and get that running while it is doing the artifact. There we go. We've got. So I'm not sure how correct that is. CDS Goat, you see, CDS Goat has been on the Slack channel, I think, answering questions yourself. So this is a way we need to tie this into the Slack bot. Just to say, how can you do that? And we have a question done. So yeah, and this has actually got it from the detailed documentation. So it hasn't hopefully just made stuff up, and it's come up with a whole sort of document analysis over there. So I like it. We have now access to some documentation information. So let me, I'm just trying to bring up my other coding files. Cool, excellent. So I'm going to bring up Visual Studio Code. Let's see how we can get some things working. Because I want to do a bit of a sort of live coding, vibe coding, and I'll explain what that is, because it isn't a great term, but it's what we have. I just need to get my Visual Studio Code, which has failed on launch. Okay. Interesting. Okay, my Visual Studio Code has not behaved. Isn't this the great day to do live coding? Anyway, we will get something going. I just need to log on to my AWS account because I want to do some stuff in AWS. And so let me just the password. Of course, I got multi-factor authentication because that is useful. I just need to touch that on my laptop. Going. We're getting there. We're getting there. Okay, so we have a folder called Office Hours with absolutely nothing in it. Now, remember, we're talking about MCP, so I'm going to use Amazon Q. Amazon Q is our command line Gen AI assistant. It's actually really good. I've been using it for days. You could use Claude Code. You could use, Cursor, Windsurf, all these kind of things. The cool thing is they all use MCP in the same kind of way. So when I was talking earlier about using UVX rather than Docker, just because I was on Windows, this is the Linux version. it's basically the same format. So I can just use, this is in the documentation server. I'm now going to use the AWS Labs, AWS Serverless MCP server, and that is how I'm going to plug it in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do Q chat, and this is just going to open up Amazon Q. And you can see already here, it's got like 0 of 1 MCP servers initialized. Now it's got a little triangle because it hasn't quite done it. If I look at the tools, it's just loading in the background. So the cool thing is behind the background, in the background, it's launching it, not quite ready yet. Eventually, there we go. So all of a sudden, I now have these AWS tools. So if we look back at cursor and I look at my prompt here and I had the documentation, these kind of tools, this is basically what it's doing for the serverless MCP one via Q. So I've got a whole bunch of tools. I can get some ISE guidance. I can use SAM as part of the tool. I can do some web app deployment, that kind of thing. So this all sounds pretty good and useful. So I'm going to just pop to my other window. Obviously too many up. I'm sure it was in the window number 3, which isn't here, of course. Promise you, I am a professional at this, I believe. MCP server logs. Seriously. With a laptop crash at about 10 minutes before launching, I will have to get another option. I do think I have, there we go. So what I can do over here is, let me just ask an initial question. So what I'm going to say is I want to build a to-do list application in a new workspace. I want to add, list, and delete to-dos. Would AWS Lambda be a good choice for this? So I'm going to go, okay, and this is going to then do some thinking, and it's going to ask a tool. So this is using the Get Lambda guidance tool, and that's built in. So there's a lot of security within this about, do you want to trust these tools? Do you want to do those kind of things? You can see above here, I've got none of the tools are implicitly trusted. I'll probably turn that off a little bit later, but you can see I'm just going to trust this tool. So this is going to get the Lambda guidance, and it says, based on this analysis, Lambda would be an excellent choice for your to-do list web application. Here's why it is particularly well suited for your use case. It gives me a whole bunch of super useful information. It's just the kind of thing, if you're writing an application internally and you need to give some guidance to somebody else, ta-da, you now have the information. So it is, let me just get my other prompt over here. And so, I'm also thinking, well, okay, good that Lambda is a start, but I want to deploy this app. So I later want to deploy this app to AWS. Which infrastructure as code tool would be best for this? So it's going to go off, and it is going to then help you choose the best infrastructure as code tool for deploying your to-do list application to AWS. And again, it's asking, I want to get the IAC guidance. So this is another tool, infrastructure as code guidance. And actually, it has picked SAM. So why? And this is actually some interesting information. It says SAM is specifically designed for serverless apps, simplifies the syntax, and then it sort of has a comparison. And what's interestingly here is it's got sort of a CDK and CloudFormation. It says sort of CDK is overkill. Now, that may not be the use case, but for a simple getting started guide, maybe that is true that, yes, to understand and work out all CDK when maybe you're a beginner is going to be too much. And of course, CloudFormation is true for both and sort of explains, CDK, has a moderate learning step and everything. But, this is useful information. Of course, it's just, it doesn't know who you are. And if you're a CDK expert, it doesn't know that you can do this already. So it's sort of built an application, so would you like to initialize your yes, create my app, please? And let's see what it does. I mean, literally, I'm writing in English over here. It's going to initialize the SAM project for me. Again, it's going to ask for a tool. I should have probably just enabled all of the tools. But one of the things, once you're in the flow of a conversation, you can't just jump up to do all the tools. But anyway, so we can see also it's now jumped to another tool, which is read. So it's able to read. I've got an office hours folder over there. And then it is just going to be able to, create a proper to-do list out of template with CRUD applications and a DynamoDB table. So remember, I haven't done anything. I haven't specified what my to-do list should look like. Yeah, and exactly, schizophrenic web developer. This is exactly what it's doing. It's actually doing SAM init under the hood for me, because when I looked up, let me go back. When I listed the tools, SAM init is one of the tools over here. Build, deploy, local invoke, logs. So you can sort of get an idea of the functionality it has got. And I can foresee in the future, we're obviously going to be working more on this as well, is that we will add support for CDK and maybe other kind of things. Good question from Sanjeev. Is Amazon Q free? Do I need to pay? There is a free tier. You need a builder ID to be able to sign up for that. And then there is also a professional. And basically, the professional allows you to do more kind of things. To be honest, I can't quite remember what I'm logged in as at the moment. But yeah, you can definitely start and play around with Amazon Q with a free tier, and then see how you go. So I've got tools going. I've got SAM templates built over here. I mean, I'm flicking through code because it's just a lot kind of happening. So I've got a template.yaml file. So $19 per month. Yes, that is for the pro tier if you need that. And that's that is also comparable to some other coding tools as well. Okay, keep going T on these to allow the tools. So this is actually creating a source directory for a Lambda function. I haven't actually looked at any code, because I did have an issue where my Visual Studio wasn't launching, which is not particularly helpful. So I've got a permission denied error. Maybe it's that. I haven't got time to clear that. Let's just see if we can get in. What's going on here? It's still thinking, so it's actually creating a JavaScript file. That is cool. I'd like to see code AWS MCP. I think I called it office hours. So previously we had nothing in there. Now I have a to-do list application. So let's assume we are actually creating files. So files are being generated over there. What's going on? It's still thinking. It's get to-dos. So this is actually building separate JavaScript commands. Let's see if this is running. I'd love to be able to actually just browse through the code, because I like using Q in the CLI. But what I generally do is I actually have VS Code. Oh, look at this. Something's gone wonky with my laptop, but anyway, just see if I can restart it. Don't restore editors, reopen. No. To talk about, I could even try Cursor, because that's another IDE. Maybe that's going to have the same kind of issue. I think I've got some glitch with Windows Subsystem for Linux and my Windows and that talking together. But let's see. Maybe Cursor is going to help me out a little bit here. Oh, we haven't got an error yet. We'll see what launches. But anyway, look at my tools. Oh, no, that is super frustrating. So my cursor is not running as well. So it is even creating a simple README file with API documentation. So I think I've got tree installed. So look what it's done. Without me doing anything, just in pure English, run that SAM init. But it's not just a plain SAM init. It is actually built the functionality to look at all my code. So the SAM init would just be a basic, small application. This has actually, created a whole bunch of JavaScript files, created to do, deleted to do, get to do, list them all. I've got a package.json. Let's see what it put in the package.json. Why don't we actually look at the README first? Oops. It'd be so much easier with an IDE. This project contains source code. I've got a hello world, and it's created an event object, some tests. Thank you very much. A SAM template very much. I know this is a lot of the stuff from the SAM init, but yeah, basically instructions here to do everything I need. I'd actually rather do tree. Is this building? Okay, so I've got some reds over here. There's it's just showing the README, updating the README. I think because I had the README open, maybe it freaked out. And we've got some, I think we've also got some queue throttling going on, which doesn't help at this stage. Well, what a day. Things are happening. So, so what do I want to do? I want to look at the source file because I wanted to see what it decided I needed. So if I put package.json, I've got a to-do application. There we go. Awesome. It's put the client DynamoDB. It's put a library for DynamoDB, done some keywords. Okay, excellent. So it looks as though it's done the code. Let's see. What else? Oh, let's try to do tree. Oh, I want to look at the template. Look at the template.yaml file. And let's just make it look better on the screen. So what have we got? We've got some environment variables. It's also adding tracing. That's a good kind of thing. It's sorted out cores for me. Well, thank you very much. That's always something I never quite know what to do. Created a DynamoDB table. And then some Lambda functions. So we've got a to-do Lambda function, with a CRUD policy, a list, tools, a get to-dos, to update a to-do, 3. So what's that? 4 different Lambda functions. It literally just built, obviously with API endpoints. So this is, the update to-do is a put method behind the to-dos with an ID. I mean, literally, this hasn't come from. This hasn't come from the SAM init command. It doesn't have all of this this extra information. Okay, so can you build this? You build this for me. Actually, I'm just going to do the. Oh, did it jump out of queue? Oh, no, I'm in the wrong place. Okay, still thinking. So it's actually doing some tidy up. It's going to clean up the old hello world directly because we're not doing it. It's still creating some sample tests. Yeah, so SAM init does have a whole lot of templates you can use, things from even processing from SQS to step functions to web events, all those kind of things. So yeah, have a look for SAM init in the documentation. There is plenty of information over here. So actually, interestingly, it has. Remember, we looked at the README file, which looked a bit like the generic. One from the SAM init, but now we actually look at this. So this is much better to do. I've got all the features that it's got, explained about the lovely cores, all the API endpoints as part of my app, some structures of the to-dos, what they look like, some prerequisites, even Node 22, it's gone for the latest, as we were discovering earlier, how to deploy the project structure. I mean, that is impressive. I literally haven't done anything. So yes, please build. And why don't we just go big and say deploy? So it's going to build and deploy this application. Let's see what it does. So it's obviously going to use some of the other SAM tools, and it's just going to build the application. So it's the dependencies. It's obviously seen. Schizophrenic web developer is basically our LLM doing the SAM build and SAM deploy guided. Yeah, exactly. But I haven't had to necessarily look at all of the things that I need to do in the command line things and everything. This is pretty good. So it's done that build. Now it's going to build the application. So the benefit is, I keep doing T to allow these tools. So the big benefit here is that you are able to just use English language to ask it to do things, to find out information without you having to, find out how SAM init works and do all those kind of things and just explore these kind of tools. I mean, I haven't even asked it to do anything SAM specific. So it'd be, I'm just asking it to build the application. It knows it's a SAM application and is doing all the kind of things. So if I was to look at my application over here, we can see that it's done some installs. So if I was to actually go into the AWS, what it's actually, because I know SAM behind the hood, what it's doing, it actually creates an AWS SAM directory and the build goes in here. So you can see there's the build and the cache and the dependencies. So yeah, behind the scenes, this is all happening without me needing to really worry much about it. So SAM deploy it's going to do. So as schizophrenic developer knows, it's doing the SAM deploy, but it's also doing the guided. So the guided has a lot of different kind of questions. It's going to ask you if you want an S3 bucket, permissions. Yes, are you sure you want to? Are you sure you want to do this as well? Interestingly, it's looking at the deploy. So let's. I just want to look at that. The MCP. Can't spell nano. Things going slow. What I've got here is I've actually got allow write access, which is going to allow that deploy to AWS. So as with some nice security built into this MCP server, if you don't do this, all this can do is query, get advice, can look at things, can understand things. So having the allow write access allows me to deploy, and then allow sensitive data access. This basically allows you to read CloudWatch logs. So, best practices. Best practices is, obviously not to have personal identifiable information in that, but maybe you're testing or whatever that kind of is. So, just another little guardrail, and it's just part of the command line arguments to allow that. Jose Daniel Posa Garcia, hi, just landing to this live. What AI agent CLI tool are you using? I am using Amazon Q CLI. So Amazon Q is a big family of a lot of different things. You've got it in the console, you've got it in an IDE. I happen to be using Amazon Q CLI. So where do we go? Oh, some deploy. I keep chatting about other things, and then I'm not hitting OK to actually allow the tools to all deploy. So this is going to deploy. Let's see. I did have another test. I'm thinking about trying something to do something local. Let's actually check. I've been having issues. Let me just check if Docker is actually visible. I had started Docker, but it wasn't running. Ooh, okay. In fact, you've got that AWS Lambda documentation container is still up and running. So that was from my Windows environment. So the guided setup is doing still the cell command. There you go. The SAM deployer guided, no confirmed change set. So as schizophrenic developer says, trace 2792, are we allowed multiple submissions in the hackathon? I don't see why not, unless the platform doesn't allow multiple submissions. That may be a blocker, but if so, if you're keen to do it, go for it. Hopefully getting inspired by some vibe coding here today to do stuff. And actually, I want to explain vibe coding, but what does that mean? Interestingly, the origin of vibe coding is literally using a command line tool over here and never looking at the code. Just typing commands, build it. You don't need to understand. You don't need to look at the code. It's just a sort of crazy kind of thing. Now, the advantage of that is, as I'm doing things just in English over here, I don't need to know anything about programming. I'm just giving English language examples. So isn't that great for learning, exploring, setting some things up? Yeah, that'll be super cool. But obviously, the issue with vibe coding is you are creating a whole bunch of code, a whole bunch of tools, whatever. You don't know what they do. Are they safe? Are they secure? Are they accessing your company information? So, take vibe coding with a bit of a pinch of salt. Great to, play around with. But yeah, remember, if people say you vibe coding in an IDE and you're actually looking at all the code and deciding yes or no to do it, that's not technically vibe coding, but I'm not too much of a purist to do things. So yeah, CDS Go, thanks so much also for putting the AWS MCP servers examples. Loads of AWS MCP servers. I mentioned things like Cost Explorer, the serverless one is there. Various different things you can do that you can do. I'm just looking at this. This is taking a while to do the deploy. I don't know what the issue with that is. That's just what's going to happen. But I did have another app running. Okay, cool. Maybe we can get that working as well. Yes. Because obviously got this running beforehand, and I just wanted to do some kind of things. I wonder if we can run Q chat in a separate window. This has been slow. I'm actually just going to cancel this. Okay, I'm going to go to Q chat now. Hopefully I haven't got everything completely wrong over here. I'm going to try go back again. Something's happened. Now, sometimes you can get... I'm going to... okay, so all the tools are trusted. Let me just look at all the tools. No, not trusted because they weren't launched yet. There we go. They're all trusted. So let's pretend, well, maybe it's deploying in the background or doing something over here. I am saying I want to test my Lambda function locally, deploying it. Can you invoke the to-do function from my SAM project with a GET request? So, it's going to use SAM local invoke. That's great. I don't know all the arguments that I've got to run for SAM local invoke with the event data that are already created and doing everything. So it's going to provide an events data. So the event file is not correct, so it's actually going to do it. It's realized it's an API gateway thing over the various stage. So it's going to then invoke the to-do function using the event file. So yeah, Tracer, you're right. I think the main benefit of vibe coding comes when you know the topic but want to freshen up on some concepts you forgot or have not used it for a long time. Yes, or you want some inspiration to do kind of things. So yeah, that's it. Let's see what it's doing. I've actually lost track. Sam local invoke, it's doing things. Okay, I missed. Bad me, I missed what the function was even called. So it's not the to-do function because that was separate. So it's going to actually invoke the correct. So I love it when it corrects you and goes, no, Julian, you don't know what you're talking about. This is much better. So we're going. The local invoke. My slight hesitation with what's going on is Docker was misbehaving earlier, and maybe okay. Cool. So it's actually invoked the function, great the function, but there's an error because it's trying to read an ID property that's undefined. This makes sense. It expects a to-do in the path parameters. That's going to try the ID function and everything. Now, I'd actually exited out of Amazon Q because I wanted to trust all the tools and something went a bit wrong. So I've also gone back into Amazon Q and basically it started a new conversation. So as with all AI tools, it sort of started from scratch and it's lost some of the context of what it's been before. I think if I'd asked this in the same sort of flow of the previous conversation, it would have known exactly what was in my application and would have sort of behaved a little bit better to do that. So actually, it has done it. So perfect. I successfully invoked your Lambda function. Here, what's happened. Here are the test results. Okay. We could do the DynamoDB table locally. So that's all the kind of thing. So why don't we, can you please deploy? Always need to say please to your LLMs. I know they may be inhumane kind of things. So always got to be polite because you never know. I always think that these things are going to be a little bit more humane and a little bit more helpful to you if you're going to be polite. So if you're not polite to your LLMs, then surely that's something to think about. So we're doing a build here. I'd love to get this actually deployed. I hope it's not going to, yeah, whether I'm human. Yes, maybe CDS good. I am not the AI. I could be a generator thing over here. Just a slight tangent. I've seen some great AI things which are feel quite empathetic there. So I'm terribly sorry that this didn't work correctly. Let me try this other approach. Or oh yes, you're right. I should have also included X, Y, Z in something. Hopefully this deploys. It'd be just a shame to be caught out with my laptop that was dying, that everything has to load, and because this was working super earlier. I mean, we did have a bit of a glitch here earlier with the SAM deploy, so I'm not quite sure what's happening, but let's see. But let's have a look, while that is happening, we can see some things are going to happen. So I've got some other questions I could ask, and I'm just going to type them into here because we'll have to maybe pretend that that's all going to work. So part of the Q tools is all talking about metrics and logs. And so I can actually just check the logs and metrics of the to-do app for any issues. And I know what this is actually going to do is goes, looks at CloudWatch logs, looks at CloudWatch metrics, and finds out some kind of things. And it can also say, for example, you've got too much memory for this application, or you've got too little memory for this application, or do you want to optimize something by, adding more memory to make it run faster? It's got some really good things. Gives it in a little table format, which is super useful. Okay, I think that's what's happening. I'm getting a. Let's see. Maybe we can change the model. Let's see. Why don't we do Claude 7? So yeah, CDS Goat has been phenomenal, talking, helping in the Slack channel as well. Talking about the robot overlord. So she needs to drop a plea in the Slack. So yeah, please, hackers, we'd love to do your things in the chat. So I've actually just changed the AI model. So this is also going to again lose the context. But let's see. Maybe we're not going to. Seeing this is a fairly simple request. I'm not generating code or not generating readmes, which a more advanced model would be. I just want to run the tool to do the same build. It is thinking. Again, it's got to build up this context again. The build, it had to do a rebuild. Maybe I should have said You've actually built this already. You do have all the artifacts. Go for it and build. So come on. I am holding thumbs or holding my fingers to get this. This would be great to show. But actually, what I can do, when I was talking about the logs, so this is a blog post actually, which describes that, some of this functionality. And when I, was going to ask that question, log analysis, I checked the logs, no errors detected. Performance, does a whole performance, looked at API gateway, found, one error. And look at the issues it's identified. Just from that English language prompt, there is one error. Have a look at kind of things. There's quite high latency. It's quite going to suggest some outlier requests are taking longer to complete. So, monitor, consider implementing more detailed logging, investigate the cause of the latency. Maybe do some dashboards to do things, and then continue to monitor the memory and duration metrics to ensure performance. So that literally just from that English language prompt is able to generate all that kind of stuff. Oh, there we go. So we are now actually deploying. Okay, did it again. So maybe something happened. So maybe something happened before that. It did actually do the deploy, just didn't finish the last kind of thing. So it's going to get the outputs. It goes all my APIs. So this is just now iterating through applications already. Here is all information. It's giving me the stacks, the resources, the endpoints. So I could have got this out of the CloudFormation stack, but this is super nice, nicely presented over here. So can you add 5 snazzy to-dos to my app? So I'm hoping that this would actually just look at those using the API endpoint. It's going to create them for me. So basically, it's figured out the curl command to run, plan a weekend getaway, research mountain cabins with hot tubs and stunning views. I don't know what it knows about me, but that seems pretty cool. A second one, just to learn serverless architecture. Okay, entirely different from the previous one. This is going to be good. And it is adding a third. How many? What did I say? 5 to-do items. So it is doing it as basically, just hitting those API endpoints. So I could have run tests. I could have, opened their API endpoints with, curl or Postman or that kind of thing. But this just English language is literally doing it for me, which I think is great. So let's verify. So it's even been helpful. What was the next thing I was going to do? It was going to, get all the information. So it's getting all the 5 to-dos that were added by retrieving the list of to-dos. And there we go. That's 5 to-dos that have come from the API request. And it's got my, plan the weekend, learn syllabus, create a cosmic playlist, design, digital garden, and an epic game night. So what's it suggesting? So I can mark it as complete. Yeah, mark one as complete. That's it. Where was my other tool? Because I could just grab this blog post and let's see what else it had over here. So it's basically done a whole bunch of things. Oh, something. So it's just going ahead. It's doing all this kind of thing. So if I had more time and this is working correctly, what I wanted to do, looking through the code, is actually write something to say, I could kick it off. Something, make this more production ready by adding observability. Make this more production ready by adding observability with AWS Power Tools. So I know AWS Power Tools. Maybe it's something other people use. It is a fantastic library for doing a whole bunch of stuff with Lambda. And I can just, that's a bunch to add. You've got to add X-ray tracing. You've got to, instrument your code. There's a whole bunch of stuff you can do. So what's it going to do? Again, because I've restarted it, normally you wouldn't do this in an IDE. It's restarting it. It's reading all of the functions within my application. But basically, it's doing the package JSON. But basically, in the background, it's going to add Power Tools to my Lambda function. And when I've run this before, it's also decided to create some dashboards. It's literally gone to town and back to be able to do cool kind of stuff. I also did a let's see, C front npm run. npm run start. I think I then asked it on another application, can you can you run a UI for me? So let's see if we can do a UI. We've got minutes running. Localhost. Let's see if we can. So this is, I'm sort of jumping around a bit, but I did have a local UI that ran. It is localhost 3000, not on HTTPS. Now look at this. I did a single prompt which said, I don't know, I like the term snazzy. Can you create a snazzy front-end application which needs to be done? Look at this. This is now, okay, it's got some different to-dos. This is what created in one single prompt. A whole front-end thing. It just iterated over and did it and built this amazing front-end. I can delete things. I mean, how that is cool. Vibe coding for the masses. So this is doing Power Tools for AWS. But yeah, so much going on. Hopefully I've been able to give you a bit of a taste and a teaser. You've got a few days left of the hackathon. Yeah, good luck with that as well. Next time, same time, same place next week, we're going to be talking about, in fact, some of that Kafka stuff I talked about earlier. Yeah, we did vibe coding for an hour. That was fun. And enjoy the hackathon. We'd love to. I honestly cannot wait to see all the things that are coming through. We've got the judges all lined up. But yeah, thanks for joining me for a bit of vibe live coding on Serverless Office Hours. It was fun. Sorry about the laptop all dying and me not getting everything up and running. It is what it is. I couldn't show you the code other than by looking at the files. But thank you very much. Bye-bye.